merchandise moments. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Jeremy Pickard to the digital stage. There he is. Oh, can't hear you. Can't hear you. Leave it to Jeremy to, be on mute here, right?
Yeah, right.
There you go. We can hear you now.
How you doing, man?
Good. I like that rookie error there, man. That was good. That's the kind of thing I would do.
Draplin had 500 talks. This is my first main one. So, working through the bugs. Thanks for everyone being my beta testers.
We pick out the most interesting, eccentric people in the industry and put them on stage, even if they don't deserve to be there. But you deserve to be here in a big way. So I'll leave, and the stage is yours. Thanks, everyone, be prepared to be amazed. Thank you.
Really appreciate it. All right, let's do this. You see that? I think it worked. Well, thanks, Mark and Bobby. I'm bummed that we weren't able to be together in Vegas. I was really looking forward to that. Been in my cave like most of us for a couple years, and excited to see this community and all my promo peeps. And it's a weird time we lived in. So I just took my team to a mountain cabin, and we weren't around anyone. So it was pretty good. No germs, and I'm healthy. So I'm blessed. So today, I think Bobby covered a lot of things that there's some overlap with my talk, but again, we're here to educate our peers. My goal in life is to help people create better merch. And within this last couple years, I really came to the conclusion that, I can only service so many people. I'm a team of 3. Whether I have big ideas or not, I don't have the capacity to serve the masses. So I'm like, well, if I can't help, all my customers, how can I help the industry elevate? I want to challenge people. I want to get everyone thinking differently about merchandise. Cause if you follow any of my content, I'm super obsessed with it. Unhealthy at times, I'm also running my company, or it's running me, one of the two, but I'm super passionate, and my 20% of my skill set that yields, I guess, 80% of my value is on the creative design. I love fashion. So, running a business, I'm not the greatest. I know I won't be the greatest CEO in the room, but I want to be the most creative. And not that there's awards for that, but I want my ideas and how I see about merchandise to help my peers, help others. Because at the end of the day, the more we can keep that merch out of the landfills, the better off we all are, and our customers' brand. So I basically categorize merchandise companies into 2 categories. Not all merchandise companies are created equal. We have the order takers and the logo slappers. We all know them. I'm assuming that no one in this room is a logo slapper. I hope not. If not, hopefully this talk and the talks today will change your mind. The logo slappers, it is probably the most profitable, and as far as margins for product, but it's automated. They don't really care about the end user. It's more of orders and manufacturing versus actually creating long-term value. And so, our industry, I feel, when I came in the promotional space, I was from the apparel world, and then a few years ago, I got into the promo side, but I hated the chalky, and that's all I knew of it. Obviously, it was ignorance, but I wanted to be really good at apparel and didn't want to have anything to do with keychains and mugs and bags. But as time progressed, and as I saw my core customers ordering merchandise from other people, I tried to look into it and say, all right, how do I offer this? And I would always lose orders just because either my pricing was too high or I didn't have enough options. Well, I discovered that I was probably quoting my customer through a distributor, and that distributor's getting 40% off. And here I am, scratching my head. I'm like, we're so competitive on this side, but then on the promotional side, nothing. And so I found out find, and it really has been a revolution to my business, because my company, we're more of a design firm first, and then, you know, we source all the merchandise. So creating merchandise collections are really what we like to focus on. And so it opened our creativity from going just from, you know, wearables to all kinds of products that we can be creative design wise. And so slapping your logo, it's the path of least resistance. It's ease, you know, it's great for a one-time event or if you're in a bind, but it really doesn't create long lasting value. What I've come to know of this community is that everyone is trying to get better, not only tech side, but networking, and then upping up their merchandise game from design to product to decoration, and then deliverables. And so the company that I think we all keep here is being a merchandise agency. And so, you know, we are usually partnering with our customers. You know, we're focused on the lifetime value over that single project. We probably care a little too much, you know, at the end of the day, we take a lot of things personal, but that's because we're really trying to give that value to our customers. We make phone calls. We check 10 different suppliers to see if the merchandise is in. And again, we're building full merchandise lines. We're not just giving the merch and saying, have fun with it. We want to be involved in their team, whether it's HR, marketing, you know, or live events. And so that the main talk here is obviously on the merchandise side, and how can we really not only create strong merchandise lines, but how can we do it quickly? And then how can the end user, our customer's customer, how can it resonate to where their investment is 10x, you know? So the benefits, there's drawbacks, you know, I think being the latter, it's more fulfilling at the end of the day. You know, we could probably all make more money if we were just being that custom ink model. But I think at the end of the day, having that fulfillment that we're truly building brands, you know, and that is my goal within this whole talk. I've already gone off my notes. Sorry, guys. I'm long-winded. So this, I know a lot about fashion. Okay, name one apparel designer. Hanes? That's on me. I set the bar too low. So we put this meme together just because, again, it's really easy to talk, you know. Yes, lead with purpose, not with product. You know, we're offering all these fashion forward options, but they're just looking in a catalog. How can we truly embody an apparel designer, you know, looking at the big brands and, you know, being able to say, all right, let's show you what we're talking about, not just telling you. So again, it's supposed to lighten the mood a little bit. You know, again, the order takers versus the creatives, you know, it's a very different group of people. You know, while it is tech driven, there's a lot of companies in our industry doing some amazing things in tech, but at the end of the day, you can't automate creativity in the way that really is going to tap into that end customer. And so this is a question. How do you see yourself? How do you see your company? You know, I know Bobby asked that question as well, to ask yourself on that report card. Are you an order taker? Or are you really a partner for your client? And so when people ask me what I do for a living and I tell them I create merchandise, they usually say, oh, you're kind of like that custom ink company. And obviously it's further from the truth, but this picture kind of sums up the way I feel a lot of times, of like not getting distracted by the money or the growth, and really keep true to who I am. You know, I really want to swim upstream, and, you know, at the end of the day, again, it's that fulfillment. How can we use our skills to help customers build their brands? And so since a lot of us, or most of us, we like to put ourselves on the agency type of category, how many of you have a creative director, art director, or a chief of ideas employed full-time? And that really is to find out if you are a true agency and you speak of creativity and design, are you dedicating part of your company to further that? Not a graphic designer, which graphic designers are underpaid in our industry, at least good ones in our industry. You know, there's a production artist who's doing these manual tasks, and then you have your creative artist. And those creative artists, I know it's hard sometimes to justify their salary with their output, but I think there's a lot more to that. And building up the graphic designer, the art director, the creative director, and then, a chief of ideas, are there people that are focused on generating creative ideas time and time again? And so how much focus are you putting on the creative development and design? Unless you're actively focusing on the collective creative development, you are not giving your customers your best foot forward. Again, it's hard. It's the path of least resistance is to take their logo and put it on 10 things. But is that going to be the best outcome for this project? Obviously, logoed wear is the foundation of merchandise for a company. If they're not a clothing brand, which probably most of our clients aren't clothing brands, they're a business who has a core product and uses merchandise to support their main cause, mission, product. And so how are you going to be able to show these clients what you're oh man, I went off. Anyways, backing up. So again, as technology gets better, everyone's getting company stores, everyone's doing kitting. The real differentiator, as the industry moves, is going to be the creative. That will be the thing that really sets you apart from all the other competition. So obviously you can have great people, but I really believe there should be a creative leader in every organization. And, someone's sole job to inspire, to develop, to streamline the process for everyone on the team. A lot of people are project managers. They're in the weeds. They're using their analytical brain. They're keeping things on point, but oftentimes they have the load of bearing creative ideas to their clients. And that's a very different mindset. And while they can be helpful, you need someone that focuses on that has that clear head, that's not in the weeds, to really support the team on that. So a few great ideas shared with your sales reps could really lead to $1 million programs, but it's really hard to do when everyone's in the trenches. So the things I'm going to be sharing about in this is my creative approach to merch development. And it really all stems from leading with creative. And I'll move to the clickbait side of my talk: 5 ways to capture cultural trends and build inspirational merch. So we're going to do be curious, be relevant, be intentional, be swift, and be adaptable. Number 1, and again, all of this, not all of them pertain to every project, but these are 5 things that I'm doing constantly, whether I have a project or not, to really be able to harness all of these things as you're building merch lines. So I've been digging into Virgil Abloh's life. He was the men's director for Louis Vuitton and the founder of Off-White. He was the creative director for Yeezy back in the day. And at a Harvard Graduate School of Business, he said, I'm sure that you're all trying to I'm sure you're all trying to challenge yourself to invent something new, trying to be avant-garde, he said. Basically, that's impossible. As designers and artists, we exist as a result of the many iterations before us, and we're collectively trekking in the same direction. So when you're hearing, you're trying to be original or come up with something completely original, that most of it's already been done. So really, my taste level is going to be very different than someone else's because of all of those things that I fed my brain from childhood that have given me my creative view. So in order for your company to bring constant fresh creativity, it has to have a well to pull from. So starting the ideation process from scratch every time you start a project, it's time consuming and it probably won't work in most scenarios because we all know that clients don't ever give us enough time. Some do, and we bless them for that. But I want to build up your creative view by constantly filling your well. And the way I do that, is not always looking at merchandise as your inspiration, to create a mood, to set the vibe for a campaign or a merch collection. Sometimes before we even get to the design, I just want to feel what the customer's look is going for. Most of the times they can't communicate creatively what they're envisioning. And at the end of the day, they're coming to us to help them with that. Again, they could go to a custom ink or order it online themselves, but they're wanting something more. They might have already done that and it hasn't been fulfilling, or it hasn't worked, or sitting with inventory. And so going to create that mood, and again, it's not for every project. If it's just like a one-time drinkware order, you're not going to want to do that. But I'm talking about building merchandise lines that are relevant, whether it's for clients, whether it's for staff, whether it's for retail. Is again, how does the big fashion brands do this? They're not doing it off the cuff all the time. They're planning ahead, but we don't necessarily have that opportunity with our customers. So by us planning ahead and filling our well, it's going to be a lot easier to help our customers, or help do creative development for our customers in a quick manner. So in addition to the main well being my brain, the secondary well is Pinterest. And again, not everyone is going to absorb ideas the same way. I had a past employee who very analytical, we called her Mama Shark in the office because she kind of just took care of everyone, but then she's ruthless, but she's also kind. And like, those people are amazing to have on your team. And when we had some feedback sessions, she was like, one thing I really want to improve is helping my customers come up with ideas. Usually she would have to bring it to me. I would brainstorm a couple minutes with her, give her some ideas, and then she would go back. But she really wanted to build that side of her brain. And again, it's not for everyone, but being able to know more about how the creative process works will make you a better project manager to reach out to the design team, the marketing team. It's good to have that worldview. So Pinterest being the best and cheapest way to curate your creative tastes. It's more powerful than recipes and decorating ideas, DIY. It's a lot more than monogrammed blankets as well. So not only can you have public facing boards. So this is my main board. Well, no, this is a portion of my boards, and I'm constantly adding to this. Pinterest is my hobby, so I don't expect everyone to be doing that. But why aren't we doing that in a business setting? I know it's like it's a time waster, but most meetings are a time waster, and you still do that. So like, this can actually help you in the creative process. So everything from buttons to zippers to streetwear to vintage automotive and action sports. I'm constantly filling this, not necessarily even thinking about a customer yet. I'm trying to categorize all these world images, all the styles, all the demographics. Most of our customers are going to be spread around the country. So, someone that's in the South is going to be very different than the Northwest. And so the more you can build up your boards, you create this well that is just strengthening over time. And it's also whoever's in charge of doing this, you're basically giving them the reins of saying, you are our curator for our company, design wise and aesthetic. If you have a lot of, oh man, I have to work. If you have a lot of women in the South that, man, I'm going to stop there because, yeah. Anyways, I'm trying to put monogrammed items in a certain category, but I wasn't going to a good place. I'm the opposite of Draplin right here. So anyways, really being able to categorize all of your stuff and have this well. Now your customers can see it, but even if it's just internally, it's going to be a great source for your team. Don't let them start from scratch. They go there because these are images that you've curated to inspire them. And so then you can have private boards. And I do this with some of my bigger customers, is have a private board. No one can see it, just you, and you can share it with your customer. is let's build and show me what you like. You know, someone at their company can use Pinterest or they have one for their business. Is let's constantly build up a mood board for your company. And it could be ongoing, it could be event based, but now it's this interactive experience that your customers are enjoying with you. And it shows that you're actually thinking about them. It's going to be a lot easier for a project manager to pin something that they see than have the time to sit down, put something together, and share their customers. So it's really helped me build my design language. I'm not a designer. You know, I say I'm a creative director. I empower designers to achieve the results that at least I come up with, but also give them the resources to make a better design than they would on their own. Number 2, be relevant. And this is, you know, I hear so many people just very resistant to the youth culture in the future. And, you know, on retail brands, it's important to keep up with pop culture, whether or not you personally find it relevant. Again, what is your profession? Again, you don't have to do it for personal. It's a hobby of mine, but for business, what is going to help your business grow and increase the creative output? You got to know what the kids these days are doing. You know, you have to know where they're hanging out. So don't be that guy or gal. Like, don't be so resistant. You know, TikTok, everyone was resistant. Very few people, when it first started popping in our industry, were jumping on. And now everyone is, because they're seeing that, oh, okay, well, I better do it. But why are we so resistant at the beginning? You know, NFTs are another thing. If you've really kept up with what some of the big companies are doing in pop culture, NFTs are just the beginning of what the metaverse and the blockchain and the Web3 is all about. Again, we're at the very beginning of it. And I just open your mind. Even if you don't want to do the research, there's someone in your organization that might be more hip to that. See, I just aged myself, but more hip to that. Talk to them about it. Ask them who's popular. How does it work? You know, don't be so resistant to change. So being relevant is, again, you have this well to pull from of the past and present of images, from textures to lifestyle to merchandise. And then what is the current state of our industry? Not just our industry, but the world, from young people to older people. You know, grandmas and grandpas are on TikTok now. That didn't take a long time. From a year and a half ago, it was only for tweens. And now it's grown into be, you know, one of the biggest social media platforms, if not the most relevant right now. And so having that, taking that curiosity and going to relevant, being relevant, understanding the end consumer. You're not only dealing with your customer, which is the one paying the bill, so you have to appease them, but you really need to focus on your customer, but also their customer. Because if you can please them all you want, but then if the program fails, if the merch doesn't resonate with their audience, they're going to come back to you. So it's in your best interest really to understand and appease your client, but keep that end consumer in mind, because they're the one that's going to be buying it, wearing it, sharing it. And so Bobby showed a handful of companies that are doing that in his presentation. You know, while there's a lot of people doing a great job, there's a bigger portion of people not doing a great job. They're just creating merch to create merch, and that's not enough. They're missing that connection with their audience. They're not tapping into their social other than advertising it. You know, you can see when it's not authentic up front. And so in order for us to truly connect with the end user, you must have a grasp on what's happening in all demographics and psychographics in society. Again, be woke. I know that's a old man term now, but you need to understand it in order for you to even help your customer. If they know more than you, you're really not going to be able to help them other than providing them with product, which might be fine. But again, I don't think we're satisfied just selling mugs all day. We want actually there to be purpose. We want a shelf life. We want some meaning. We want social engagement with the products that we create. So this is a little example of Island Boys and Toy Snobs. So if you've been on TikTok, the Island Boys are blowing up, whether you hate them or like them. They got eyeballs on them. They created awareness. You know, they're these little rappers from Miami, talk about living on an island and, you know, all tatted up and acting like little thugs. But Toy Snobs is a brand I follow who's all about 80s nostalgia merchandise. And so when I saw this, I feel like this is a brilliant capture of knowing your audience, but also staying relevant, not necessarily chasing the trends, which I'm sure there's some of that, but they're being relevant to the consumer these days. So if you know anything about Beavis and Butthead, Island Boys, it's just like a perfect mash. And I really thought, and I even bought the shirt, and I never really buy like graphic tees other than like vintage. So, you know, I just thought it was really brilliant because when I look at them, I'm never going to not think that they're Beavis and Butthead. And then Nike's recent acquisition of Artifact, which is a digital design firm for the metaverse. And they paid lots of money for it. But if you've been watching as all these big brands are getting into it, they started designing shoes as NFTs and wearables for avatars, you know, Roadblocks, Fortnite, what's the other one? I can't think of it right now. But being able to tap into what's relevant in culture. Again, it's not a fad. If you think it's a fad, do a little more research, you know, before your judgment. Go in and learn, spend hours really finding out, because again, the NFTs, most of these JPEGs, like every business is going to fail. You know, there's only going to be a select few that truly come out of this NFT boom. It's the people who can build culture, that can build brand. It's not just about drawing an ugly JPEG. You have to, just like a business, you have to build that up. And so Nike just acquired these guys who are going to be in charge of their meta merchandise. Again, people were already creating Nikes in the metaverse. They are just getting their IP now in the space, again, to dress your avatar. They do collabs with Jeff Staple, and they've done one with Gary Vee and Bobby Hundreds, and they're seeing what the culture is shifting to. The design, I think you mentioned Harper, and I can't remember the name, Bobby, but they are creating a branch to focus on the metaverse. But again, it's not all or nothing. It's how can we use what we sell in with cross promotion into the metaverse? Because again, you can't wear a JPEG, but if you have this JPEG that shows that you are the authentic owner and you have a shirt from that, again, they could just go buy a shirt, no problem. But this gives social relevance. It helps get your online relationships deeper because you find out what people are into. And again, I challenge everyone to learn more about not only NFTs, but smart contracts. And there was, we recently did an ASI talk about NFTs, Meg Erber and Lisa Fosdick, and she is creating NFTs for charity and working with a lot of companies to bring, you know, virtual showrooms, and how can I go through the showroom with an Oculus? So not everyone needs to get into it, but by the time you finally are pushed by your customers, because they're going to be asking, you're going to have to start from scratch to learn about it. So learn now. Again, things will come and go, but I don't see the metaverse going anywhere, at least looking at all the big brands getting into it. So anyways, let me know, team, if I'm when I need to stop, because I'm going long already. So be intentional. Elon Musk, don't start with the product, start with the problem. I know it sounds cliche at this point, but are we really being intentional with creative for our customers? Not going to Sanmar to just pull nice garments that are trending, but we're selling garments, we're selling design, we're selling decoration, we're selling distribution. Are we thinking through all of those things, or are we guessing a lot of the times because the clients aren't giving us that information? And a lot of it, they don't know. So don't ideate in the dark. You'll waste your time and your client's time. And there's usually just a little tiny factor, piece of the puzzle that if you're asking those questions up front, they're going to share, and it's going to help your whole project go much smoother. So the design, obviously, it needs to resonate with the intended audience. Again, logos are great for some occasions, but if it's to promote your company, most people are tired of logos, unless you're like a Nike or a brand that actually has value in their logo. If you're just a local restaurant, no one really wants to wear your restaurant logo, but they do want to support you. So how can you build that creative? And again, not everyone is going to have designers in-house. I encourage you should, because at the end of the day, half of the puzzle you're putting in your customers' hands, hoping that their freelance artists are great, or that their in-house design team's great. You can only do so much with crappy design. So it's really important that you can even get involved with your customer. If you're not designing, get involved with them at the ideation phase. Guide them through that design to help not only you when you get to the quoting phase, but also to have a better product. And again, we can't control the design, but we can give them input. And so, yeah, go beyond what's easy and comfortable. So this is going to require some research and development. Again, not just for that project. It needs to be an ongoing thing to learn and to study the market. We are selling merchandise. If you haven't been to the mall, well, at least in the last 3 years, you're missing out. You need to show your team why people are spending all this money on this merchandise on Urban Outfitters and Abercrombie and Nordstrom's. You need to see what these brands are doing. Most of us never even touched the product. So how can we lead people in this creative merchandise that is going to make their brand look good if we're not even touching and feeling and seeing this, again, before you get to the project, not getting a sample from your vendor afterwards?
Jeremy, I love one of the things I love about what you have done as a discipline through your life, and I think this is probably the most important trait as we all develop. And I'm sorry to interrupt you there. We were getting close to closing the time, but I wanted to gently jump in. Is you just developed? There's a lifestyle you've developed, and I think that's something that we hop into this business in this industry, and we see that products are easy to grab. There's so much, but really you've developed a creative lifestyle that feeds your work, and I think that's the biggest takeaway I've had from just knowing you and being around you. It's a really big shift in looking at the business.
Yeah. So again, it should be fun. Like, we're selling merchandise.
Yeah.
We need to enjoy ourselves more and be more childlike. Like, we need to experiment. We need to have more ideation sessions, or whatever you want to call them. Like, it's fun to do that, man. It's a grind trying to source right now. So like, this is something that can bring joy to your company. Yeah. And I'm done, huh? Man. Yeah.
I know. Hey, you know what? We'll have Jeremy.
Guys, I'm sorry.
Jeremy, this has been fantastic, man.
I'm going to go fast so you can see.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep scroll through them. Unpacking your brain, it takes a lot of.
At the end of the day, we got to be profitable and we have to be quick. So building templates, making it easy for your team to drag and drop inspiration, helping your customers decide. And so again, we're asking the questions to our customers, and then be adaptable. Just be like creativity is like water. We are the substance, our clients are our vessels, and let us be those creative experts to help our customers. Man, I'm so sorry,
Jeremy,
guys.
No, don't apologize. Listen, we'll have you on a SKUcast, because you and I've recorded with Jeremy before. If y'all are curious, go out there and dig into a couple of things. We have an article out on the community page where Jeremy talked about the art of curation. It's a really rich article when I interview him. And then also we have an interview back on the SKUcast. But Jeremy, we'll have you back, because here's the big question that I want to talk with you about, and we'll have this on an episode coming up, is what do NFTs mean for the promo business? We don't have time to answer that here right now, but that's what we're going to ask if you're game to join me on a podcast and we can talk about it.
Of course.